The bald guy was named Cyrus. The people around him weren't exactly harmless either. Guys like Diamond Dog and Johnny 23 were all dangerous criminals. As soon as they boarded the Jailbird transport plane, they were locked inside a metal cage in the center of the cargo bay, with guards watching them the whole time. Under normal circumstances, nothing should have gone wrong, but things went south fast. Not long after takeoff, they started making moves. Johnny 23 was the first. He acted calm, casually pressing his palm again and again. A few minutes later, he somehow pulled a thin needle out of his hand and used it to pick his handcuffs open, bit by bit, until they popped loose. On the other side, another prisoner started acting up too. He shoved his fingers into his mouth and, seconds later, pulled out a long, thin line, over a meter long. He had actually hidden tools inside his body, and that line was used to retrieve matches and gasoline he'd smuggled in. He poured gasoline on the prisoner next to him and lit a match, tossing it over. The cabin instantly went up in flames, and the prisoners screamed as fire spread. Seeing things spiral out of control, the guards rushed in. To stop the fire from spreading, they even unlocked one prisoner's leg shackles so he could move freely and not get trapped. But that mistake gave him exactly the opening he needed. In the chaos, a prisoner slipped a guard's keys, opened the cage door, and Cyrus and Diamond Dog got out. A female guard rushed in trying to stop them, but she couldn't hold them back. Just like that, control of the plane started slipping into the prisoner's hands. Cyrus got excited. His plan was already working, but not everyone felt the same. One man, David, stayed completely calm. David used to be a military officer. He'd killed someone by mistake and got sentenced to 8 years. In prison, he kept his head down, behaved well, worked out, studied, and just tried to earn early release so he could go home to his wife and daughter. That day was supposed to be his release day. All he wanted was to take that flight home. Instead, he walked straight into a hijacking. During the chaos, a curly-haired guy suddenly came out with a gun and grabbed a black prisoner, shouting that he was a cop. David tried to talk him down, telling him to stay calm, but the guy wouldn't listen. Cyrus reacted immediately and shot him, ending the situation in seconds. After that, Cyrus started paying attention to David. He figured David might be useful, so he laid out his plan. They were going to wait until the plane reached a transfer stop, then put on guard uniforms, pretend to be law enforcement, swap out the real guards, and move prisoners off and on the plane under disguise. Originally, they were supposed to hand off 6 prisoners and pick up 10 new ones, including the son of a major drug lord. Before boarding, Cyrus had already made a deal with that drug lord. If he got his son out, he'd earn 20% of the drug operation and disappear rich. But now things were falling apart. Some of the original 6 prisoners were already dead, so the plan was messed up. Cyrus had to adjust and pick replacements from whoever was left. David, however, had a close friend on the plane, a black inmate he trusted. Cyrus only wanted a clean white replacement plan, so David refused to give him up. He flat out said no. As they approached the transfer airport, Cyrus pushed forward with the switch. Guards were forced into prisoner clothes, gagged, and marched off the plane pretending to be inmates. A huge sandstorm rolled in at the same time, reducing visibility to almost nothing, which actually helped them pull it off. The guards were successfully swapped out, and the drug lord's son was brought onto the plane. But nobody expected this. Among the new arrivals was an extremely dangerous convict known as the Butcher. He was supposed to be heavily restrained and isolated. Instead, he was accidentally released. The moment his restraints came off, he realized something was wrong. The guards on board weren't real. At the same time, the airport authorities realized the 6 prisoners they received were actually guards in disguise. They immediately turned around to chase, but it was too late. The military tracked the plane and prepared to intercept it with armed helicopters. But Cyrus was smart. During the swap, they secretly removed the GPS tracker and planted it on another aircraft, throwing off the search. David tried to send a signal from onboard equipment, but no one picked it up. He stayed on the plane, listening to Cyrus and looking for an opening. Later, the landing gear malfunctioned, and David and another prisoner were sent underneath the plane to inspect it. There, they found a dead body, someone who missed takeoff and got crushed by the landing gear. David saw his chance. He wrote down the plan and destination on the body and pushed it off the plane. The body landed on a car, and ground crews found it, realizing they had been tracking the wrong direction. Authorities corrected the route immediately, and even the sheriff, who had doubted it at first, had to accept the truth and started chasing at high speed. Meanwhile, the plane neared its destination, but the control tower was unmanned. They nearly collided with another aircraft and had to make an emergency landing, crashing into an open field. After landing, the prisoners found the airport almost empty. Cyrus pushed forward with the escape plan, but David's friend went into a diabetic emergency after his medication was destroyed in the chaos. David went off the plane to find medicine but got stopped by drug lord henchmen. During the fight, the sheriff suddenly appeared, drawing fire. David used the distraction and fought back, but things got tense between David and the sheriff too. Cyrus realized police were closing in, less than 10 minutes away. At the same time, the drug lord's son tried to escape on a private plane. As the engine started, it knocked the sheriff down. The sheriff reacted by crashing a crane into the aircraft, sending it into a gas station where it exploded. Cyrus arrived and the drug lord's son begged for his life, but Cyrus lit gasoline and killed him on the spot. A full battle broke out between prisoners and police. Then Cyrus found a letter from David's daughter in David's belongings and realized there was a rat on board. To flush him out, he grabbed a female guard and used her as leverage. David's friend took the blame to protect him and got beaten down. Seeing that, David snapped. He fought his way into the cockpit and forced the plane to land. Cyrus stormed in and fired his gun, but he was out of bullets. At that moment, the female guard showed up and knocked Cyrus unconscious. The plane flew over Las Vegas but was too damaged to reach the airport and had to crash land into city streets, finally stopping near a water fountain. Cyrus held a gun on David one last time, but just then, the plane's rotor snapped off and sliced through the aircraft, passing right between them. Police arrived and arrested all the prisoners. David's friend was rushed to the hospital in time. In the end, David finally made it home and reunited with his wife and daughter. On the surface, the movie looked like a hijacking action chaos story, but what really stood out was David, a normal man dragged through chaos who never stopped trying to get home. He wasn't a hero in the traditional sense, but in the middle of everything falling apart, he held on to decency and responsibility. When the plane was crashing and the world was out of control, the only thing he kept fighting for was simple: I want to go home. And when he finally held his wife and daughter again, all the blood and fire went quiet. Some people don't fight for victory, they fight just to see the people they love one more time.